But we are in Matthew, the 24th chapter. Seen Miss Sally there yesterday, and she seems to be in good spirits, and she's planning on coming home Wednesday. We're going to release her on Wednesday, so she's looking good. No, she got a boot and a sling. That's what she's in, but she's walking, and she's got a cane. Didn't she have? She had a cane, but she wasn't walking yesterday when we've seen her. But seen her walking down the hall, and she had a cane. But she's doing good. She's doing good, seems like. And Justin's moved to an apartment or a condo, and he told me it seemed like he was improving each day, just real sore. Real sore. He says it's going to be a long go, but he seems to be improving, though. And he wants to thank everyone for the prayers and everything. So, is there anything else that needs to be announced before we get started?
I have an announcement.
Yes.
There was a high school student, a senior. His name is Labor is his last name. His first name is Kason Labor. He's a high school student. He had a bad car accident Saturday morning coming back from Oklahoma City. He is currently in St. John's in Tulsa on life support due to swelling of the brain.
Was he a senior here at Stigler?
Yes.
So we had a senior boy here at Stigler. He had a car accident Saturday morning.
Saturday coming home from Oklahoma City, they life-flighted him to Tulsa, and they don't know.
So he's pretty serious condition.
What was his first name?
His last name was Labor. Kason Labor.
Kason Labor. He's a twin. Kason, and I don't know. Lori might know.
Colton, Kason and Colton Labor. Okay. So remember that family. I don't know. It might be some kin to John. I hadn't even thought about it. It is cousin. Okay. We're in Matthew, the 24th chapter this morning, down about verse 15. We talked about last week there before the end of class about Jesus was telling them, don't be misled. There's going to be things happening to you that it's going to be bad. I mean, you're going to face false prophets. You're going to, just things you're going to have to endure. And he's going to enhance upon that starting here in verse 15. Therefore, when you see the abomination of the desolation which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get the things that are in his house. Whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. But pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Unless those days have been cut short, no life would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Let me stop right there. What is he talking about here?
The end of time.
What do we think? Is it talking about the end of time, or is it talking about the destruction of Jerusalem? Yeah. I think at this time that's what he's talking about. There'll be things that occur just like it at the last day, too. But he's telling them here, when Jerusalem is taken over, when it is totally destroyed, these things happened. Will happen.
Where is that? It says Jerusalem.
Well, it hadn't got there yet. But that's what he's referring to, because you look back in chapter 23 there at verse 37. That's when he's talking about, he's lamenting over Jerusalem. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. He knows what's coming to it. He knows what's coming to it. And if you stop and think about there in the last verse, there's verse 22. But he said, unless those days have not been cut short, no life would have been, except of the elect, those days will be cut short. The reason he cut these destructions shorter was why? Because of the church. Because of the church. Let's continue on. Verse 23. Am I echoing? I'm sorry if I am. Verse 23 now. Then if anyone says to you, behold, there is the Christ, or there is he, do not believe him. For false prophets and false Christ will arise and will show great signs and wonders, so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. What's he telling them right here? There's going to be people that show up even claiming to be Christ, even claiming to be the Savior. But they're there to mislead you. Does that sound familiar, or is it just something that you think about that today? There's people today that claim to be what? Prophets. People that talk directly to God, and God talks directly to them. But he's wanting you to understand here, they're going to be able to do things. But the thing about it is, so to mislead you, even possibly the elect. When he says the elect here, he's talking about the church. They're coming to tempt you. They're coming to try to mislead you. And you can look at this any way you want to. Who's behind all this? Who's behind all these false prophets? Who's behind all this false?
The devil.
Exactly. Exactly. Verse 25 now. Behold, I have told you in advance. So if they say to you, behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go out, or behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe them. For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even in the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. We can relate to that. But you know what? That's exactly right, Marcia. That's exactly right. If you keep it all together, I know we should have been a break as far as a chapter. Yeah, I understand. But we can understand that lightning. We've seen that. It'll flash over here, but it'll go where? All the way across, won't it? And it comes in just that quick.
Yeah. Talking
Yes.
about the people trying to mislead you, and the devil causing them to do it, always making me remember this in the, what is that, First Peter 5 and 8, it says, tells you to be sober and vigilant, or your adversary the devil is like a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour.
And I think the thing we need to remember there, he's seeking. He's not standing and waiting. He's out seeking whom he may devour.
He's working for disciples.
That's right. He's out looking. He's out looking. Now we'll finish up there at verse 28. Wherever a corpse is, there the vultures will gather. We understand that. Verse 29. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not be given its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the power of the heavens will be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming out on clouds of the sky with power and great glory. What's he referring to there? Is he talking about a different coming back at this point? Let me continue on. And he will send forth his angels and a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of the sky to the other. All right, I'm waiting for somebody to explain that to me. Is he still talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, or is he talking about him coming again? Because there's been great controversy about this. There's a lot of opinions. Okay? If you want to look at it, it fits both ways. It fits both ways. That's the thing that...
Because with the destruction of Jerusalem, there's no mention of the trumpet sound.
That's right.
In the final destruction.
That's right. And we know when Jesus comes, or when the Lord comes back, what's going to happen? Trumpets will sound. Yeah. So I can see that. I can see that. And all the things that are happening there, the moon and the sun and the stars, we all know that's part of it.
But this one also says heaven and earth will pass away, and there again at the destruction of Jerusalem.
It didn't,
that
didn't,
just the city.
it was just that city. That's right. Now if we, I'm sorry.
In Revelation, chapter 1, verse 8, says, 7, start with 7. Behold, he comes with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindred of the earth shall wail because of him. And he says, I am and Omega, the beginning and the end. So that sounds like when it comes back for the last time.
Okay. Now after he says these things, look where he starts in verse 32. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. He said all these things that's going to happen. Now he's bringing in a parable. Parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender, it puts forth leaves. You know the summer is near. So you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. It's just like what Marcia was talking about.
Is that talking about this generation right now?
He's talking about the generation he was talking to at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? He's still talking about that destruction of Jerusalem, which I don't have the exact dates, but it wasn't too many years afterwards. A lot of these people seen and was involved in exactly what Jesus had told them was going to happen. Okay? Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Do you look at the scriptures in that way? Or we just look at it as a book? Here we are all these, how many years later? 2,000 some odd? Still here. It's been through everything you can think of. Still here. That's what he's wanting you to understand. Heaven and earth will pass away. All these things that you see and do, temporary, but my words will not pass away. Isn't that comforting to us? It should be. It should be comforting to us, knowing that his word will not pass away.
Knowing that we have the promise.
That's right. That's right. Verse 36 now. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son of, but the Father only. Now let's think about that. We have people today that's predicting when it's going to end. It says not even, now the angels don't know, the Son of Jesus don't know, only the Father. Only the Father.
Some of those false teachers predicted at the end of 1900. So it started 2020. I mean,
That's true.
20, they said no more.
Verse 37, for the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. Life was normal, wasn't it? That day that Noah entered the ark. Everybody was... You have to remember, think about this. What kind of world was it at Noah's time? How were the people? Huh? Very corrupt. Here Noah had been preaching for how long? 120 years while they was building this ark. Can you imagine the ridicule that Noah had to take? Here, that man's crazy. Y'all's building a boat that big
Hey, Phil, when
on dry land.
started raining and that ark started lifting up, they were ready to go to Noah and try to get in.
So, you know, that's right. But you stop and think. These people were just going about their everyday lives. They were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be.
Good point there. It can be too late.
What
But
we
do it
do,
while you can.
if we went up and we had somebody that's actually doing this right, got up at the street corner at the courthouse and got on the pedestal and preaching, you know, coming of the Lord and all, we'd all think it's crazy too.
He's in lost his mind.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
Yeah.
We would think that. But you know, you look at this. We think, well, they were just going about their daily lives. Until it started raining, they thought, what in the world? And it just kept raining. Kept raining. For how long? 40 days,
Well, it even said the
40 nights.
the floods at the deep, so it was coming up. I mean,
It's coming from
every
everywhere.
direction.
It's coming from everywhere. Not just rain, water was coming in. It's hard for us to imagine that. You know?
You know, when the animals start coming two by two, that should have.
You would think the people outside, what are they doing? And we're not talking just about cats and dogs and cattle. All every animal.
Only two at this point, I'm not running, it never rained, so.
That's what I
Really
understood.
didn't
Yeah.
even.
They didn't know what rain was.
You know, so many, but there again, just like she said, so many things that were happening that were unusual. But, and I'm sure Noah had preached some of this, you know, because what his message was inspired by God, because this is supposition that the scripture doesn't
Mhm.
tell us. But it kind of makes sense that he possibly would have had knowledge of some of this stuff. But they saw it.
They, yeah,
Still
didn't believe. Even when the waters were sinking them down. They might,
If that's interested in truth and God's word, even somebody preaching on the street corner could really interested to listen to see if he's saying it's true.
Yeah.
But they weren't interested in doing what God.
they just made fun of him. They called him crazy. Noah, they called him crazy by preaching for 120 years. You know, after the second day, we would want to say, forget you people. I don't have to put up with this. Isn't that how we are? We're pretty short-tempered. Somebody makes fun of you, you're pretty well done with it pretty quick. And but Noah preached for 120 years. That just amazes me. And all the ridicule that he took.
In 39, when it says, so will the coming of the Son to man, of man be, that's being parallel with how it was in Noah's.
That's right, with the people going about their daily business.
And so then when it
That's right. That's right. And that's the whole thing. You know, like today, we go about our daily lives every day. We don't think about nothing. We just go on. Something tragic might happen and our world comes to an end. Just like that young man who had a car wreck. He didn't expect that morning. He wasn't expecting that. Because if he wouldn't have been driving down that road, would he? He'd have changed his actions. Same way with us. If we knew God was coming, would you not be ready? That's what he's wanting to bring out. We're going to get to it in the next couple of verses. But that's what he's wanting you to understand. You're going to go about your daily walk. Nobody knows the exact time that Jesus is coming. Same way they didn't know when the flood was going to take place. Verse 40. Then there will be 2 men in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and one will be left. I'm hoping somebody can explain that to me. What's he talking about?
He's just using that as an example. Of course, they both may be Christians and be taken, but it could be the other way.
We won't know, will we? We won't know. Because look here in verse 42, continues the thought. Therefore, be on the alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. There's nothing else I can say. You got to be ready. We don't know when he's coming. We don't know. And if someone tells you he does know, he's lying. Okay? That's the reason he tells us all throughout Scriptures, be on alert, be ready. Be aware. Because we don't know. And it can go like this. It may not be that Jesus is coming. But if something happens to you, your fate is sealed. It's just as if he did. You think, Phil, man, that's bad. That's serious. Exactly. It's serious. Because if something happens to you, you can't change. You can't make things right. You can't get back right with God. That's the reason he's wanting you to be ready all the time. Be prepared. Because no one knows the day of the Lord's coming. Verse 43. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time the night the thief was coming, he would have been on alert and would not have allowed him to break into his house. We understand that. We can relate to that. If you knew someone was coming to your house at 9 o'clock tonight, and they're going to come and get your stuff, what would you do?
Lock the door.
You would be there ready. They can't do that. That's my stuff. You would not have allowed that. You would not have allowed that. There's only one difference. Is the thief going to tell you when he's coming? That's the whole point of being a thief. Surprise. Sneaky. However you want to look at it. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be known about until it's done over. For this reason, verse 44, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. So, how does that relate to you and I today? What does it tell us? You've got to be ready. I don't know when he's coming. You don't know when he's coming.
Tells us we've got to read the Bible and be prepared.
Be ready.
Be ready.
Have your life right. Does that mean, no, you're not going to sin anymore? No, you didn't hear me say that. Have your life right with God. Have your life right. Because when that time comes, there won't be time. There won't be time for you to get right with God. That's what he's wanting to bring out. Who then is the faithful and sensible slave, whom his master put in charge of his household to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of all of his possessions. Let me stop right there. Why is he bringing up the slave here and he's trusting him doing the things that he ought to? Why is he bringing that up? How is he bringing that in comparison? Okay. They can relate to what he's talking about here. A slave, you know. Let me ask you this. Let's relate that. We don't have slaves today. You're working for somebody. Whatever job you want to put out. And when the boss is gone, we take the coffee break. I don't drink coffee. You don't work like you should. But when the boss is around, we hook up and get with it. What's he saying? The good servant works all the time. When the boss is there and when he's not there. Because he's wanting you to understand, when you're not working when the boss ain't there, what are you doing? What are you doing to the boss? You're cheating him. You're cheating him. Because he's paying you to work 8 hours or whatever. And you work 6 of the 8 hours. What have you done? You've cheated him out of 2 hours. Okay. We'll stop right there. And we'll take up next week. Thank you for your comments this morning.